Anti-oil sands, anti-oil and gas propaganda pretending to be a video game. Well, this is just in bad taste to begin with, but when the government funds it, when your tax dollars are going to this propaganda, then it's a whole different concern. Joining us to talk about that is Candice Malcolm, formerly of The Sun, now the boss of the Ontario wing of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
Well, it's great to have you here in your role as watchdog for the taxpayers. I find this video game stupid because most natural gas and oil pipelines are buried underground. You don't destroy things to make way for it. They talk about explosions and fires and bombings, which, you know, as if those are normal things. It's obviously trying to denormalize pipelines. Now, that's fine. Propaganda is propaganda. But taxpayers paid for this.
Yeah, and exactly what you said is right. You know, this is coming from the Ministry of Education. So it's supposed to be money spent on educating people in Ontario. And instead, this game, I read somewhere that it was supposed to be satirical. It was intentionally over-satirical to kind of prove the sensitivity about this issue. Now, that's not education. That's not good use of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, and you know, this was funded in Ontario through the Ministry of Education to TV Ontario. That's the provincial version of the CBC. In fact, we can show right now the website of TVO. If you go to the government TV website in Ontario, you'll see this video game promoted. You can see it right here on the screen. That's the TVO website. They're promoting this. But here's the crazy part. If you don't think this is bad enough, they're selling this video game. You buy it, and a proceed of it goes to a lobby group called the David Suzuki Foundation. So you got taxpayers' money selling propaganda, and then guess what? Guess who gets a commission on it? Our friend David Suzuki. I mean, who even thought this was ethical?
Yeah, again, it's not educational. So money from the Ministry of Education should not be going to fund these propaganda groups, these sort of left of center, left wing advocacy groups. It's supposed to be educating people of Ontario. It's not good use of taxpayer dollars. And at this point in Ontario's government, they can't afford it. They're in so much debt. They're running a deficit of nearly $12 billion. They can't afford to be spending, you know, $43 million on stupid programs like this.
You know, if this were, I mean, this is Ontario spending tax money to attack an industry that's affiliated and associated with Alberta. Here's a letter from the Canadian Energy Pipeline Association written to the Cabinet of Ontario saying, what the hell are you doing with your tax dollars attacking our industry? Candice, imagine for 1 second if the government of Alberta, which is also deep in debt, took money to make a super fun video for the kids about, oh, let's say, what's important to Ontario, the auto industry. Auto recalls, GM plants closing, losing market share to those upstart companies from Asia. Let's have a yuck together about these death traps that the big three are making, like just bizarre anti-auto sector propaganda. I mean, it would be unthinkable that the Alberta government would do that, or any government, but here's Ontario. This feels like an attack on the West. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you've pointed out a good double standard there. You definitely wouldn't see this coming from another region against Ontario, and this is definitely something the Ontario government needs to take a look at when they're doing their budget review, which is going on right now. When they're looking at their budget, this is the perfect thing that they can cut. I don't think anyone will miss it. I don't think it's fair, as you said, to other regions of this country, to the unity of this country, to be having these anti-West or anti-industry propaganda being put on the Ministry of Education website. So it's definitely something that needs to be scrapped, and this is something that the Ontario government should not have any affiliation with.
Well, today, Premier Kathleen Wynne, the new Premier of Ontario, was asked about this video game. Here's what she said.
So I know nothing about that. It sounds somewhat disturbing to me on the face of it. So I'm going to ask the Minister of Education to have that conversation with TVO, because I think there does need to be a question asked about that.
I think that's a fair response. I surely don't think the new Premier of Ontario, who's just getting up to speed on 100 files, has been briefed about this stupid video game. And I think her answer is right. She should inquire. But I think that's just the beginning. We need to know what the answer is. I think the money has to be paid back from the lobby firms that made this. And I think David Suzuki Foundation should give back the commissions they got to the taxpayer of Ontario. What do you think should happen? I mean, if this was caught in the private sector, if money was spent improperly, if money was being commissioned off to a charity, there might even be a criminal investigation. I'm not proposing a criminal investigation here, but I'm saying that the money should be given back.
Yeah, it's definitely not good use of the taxpayer dollars. And anytime you're seeing government money, taxpayer dollars going into the government and then getting siphoned off and going into, whether it be private sector or some kind of lobby group or special interest groups, it's just not fair. And that's why the government shouldn't be involved in these kind of things in the first place. Tax dollars should be spent better, and taxpayers deserve better.
Yeah, leave the propaganda to David Suzuki and his lobby firm. We don't need taxpayers on that. Candice Malcolm of the Taxpayers Federation, thanks for being here.